Namaste and welcome to yet another edition of Free Hit here on Cricket Next with me Anand Narasimhan and the one and only Ayaz Memon. अब फ्री हिट की बात करें अयाज भाई नमस्ते। एक बात
नमस्ते
बताओ।
नमस्ते आनंद, क्या हाल है आपके?
मेरे हाल तो ठीक है। मैं अपनी टीम के बारे में सोच रहा हूँ हाउ इज इट पॉसिबल दैट यू कैन स्नैच defeat from the jaws of victory like our team did ब्रिलियंटली इन दी ओडीआईस। कैसे किया? अब फिर पहला दो ओडीआई ऐसे हार गए कि जीत के भी हार के जीतने वाले को बाजीगर कहते हैं, लेकिन जो जीत के हार गया उसको क्या कहते हैं? दैट्स व्हाट आई थॉट ऑफ द फर्स्ट टू ओडीआईस। देन द सेकंड फोर्थ द लास्ट ओडीआई दे केम बैक एंड सेड अच्छा ऑल इज वेल, 400 बना दिया, सब कुछ ठीक है, तुम्हारी टीम जल्दी आउट हो गई, वी आर ऑल इज वेल। व्हाट इज गोइंग ऑन इन द टीम?
हाँ देखिए बॉस, देयर आर टू मेनी अप्स एंड डाउन्स व्हिच आर हैपनिंग और ये मेरे ख्याल से दिस इज नॉट अ गुड साइन। हालांकि फॉर्मेट्स अलग है, इट इज वन डे फॉर्मेट एंड देन दे प्लेड अ टेस्ट मैच, वन द टेस्ट मैच कन्विंसिंगली, वन द लास्ट ओडीआई कन्विंसिंगली। लेकिन अगर आप बांग्लादेश के सामने भी इतना लाइक अ यो-यो, इफ यू स्टार्ट काइंड ऑफ बिहेविंग लाइक अ यो-यो, then it asks questions about the consistency. ये जरूर है कि some key players were missing. There was no Rohit Sharma. Obviously, there's still no Jasprit Bumrah. Even Mohammad Shami wasn't there. Jadeja is not there. But India के पास इतना cricketing riches है in terms of talent that I don't think this should have been really a concern कि आपके लिए कौन खेलेगा. जो players थे, जो squad में थे, they were actually good enough. So I mean, there's one way of looking at it. अब तक कि what has happened, we lost the ODI series, which is got lost in the hurly-burly of other news happening. But that's something that they need to take cognizance of, because as we know, 2023 is a big year for ODIs. The one day World Cup is going to be played in India, and the team needs to pick up steam and become far more consistent. So Test cricket की बात तो खैर हमने बांग्लादेश को हराया, पर वहां पर भी काफी स्ट्रगल, मेहनत करनी पड़ी फोर्थ इनिंग्स में विकेट्स निकालने के लिए. And it looks like India is in a good position to get into the World Test Championship final if all goes well. I'm not going to count my chickens before they're hatched. लेकिन ऑस्ट्रेलिया को अगर ज्वाइन करने के लिए कोई टीम है, so I think England wiping out Pakistan has cleared the path far more for India to be in the World Test Championship final. लेकिन उसके लिए भी आपको कंसिस्टेंसी की बहुत ज्यादा जरूरत है, खास करके when we are playing Australia in the upcoming series.
We'll come to the test in just a bit and to the test championship in just a bit. Like you said, no, because of the football World Cup happening, FIFA World Cup happening, so Indian team की सुताई media में कम हुई because there were so many shockers and there was so much of obsession which was happening with who's getting knocked out of the World Cup, what's happening, and all of that. But how did they manage to have Bangladesh on the mat in two ODIs and they allow somebody like a Mehdi to come back and stitch a partnership, a Mahmudullah to come back and again score with Mehdi in two ODIs back to back? If you are able to get 7, 8 wickets and then you're not able to account for the last, first ODI was a ninth wicket partnership which was happening with a 10th wicket, last wicket partnership which happened. Second ODI again, same thing happened. And it was not that Rohit Sharma was not there. It was not that Virat Kohli was not there. It was not that you did not have think tank or senior players who were there. You had them on the mat, and yet you it just is. Should you just put that to lady luck, that 1% which decides कि भाई तुम्हारा आज बैंड बजना है तो बज जाएगा, or would you turn around and say, boss, a champion team like India should not be looking at it. Okay, one match it happens is okay, but it happened in two matches as well. So that's why I'm going back a little bit, थोड़ा flashback maybe before we come to the test and test championship.
नहीं सही है, but your point is very well raised, because see, don't see it in isolation of the ODI series against Bangladesh. We lost the series. That's the bald truth. Even if you won the last match, and scored 400 or whatever, but you lost the two matches and you lost the series, and that's a big deal actually. But you have to look at it in consonance with what happened in the Asia Cup and the World T20. Now, obviously, I'm not mixing apples and oranges, T20 and ODIs, but there again, in limited overs cricket, there were matches where we barely escaped through. Last over में last ball पे आप जीत रहे हैं. Even against teams like Bangladesh, forget about Pakistan. They were great matches, great to watch. But where the Indian team is concerned, इतना तनाव, that you start asking and you start wondering कि यार इतनी बढ़िया team in a winning position in most of these matches, they should have actually got a stranglehold and finished off that match far earlier. Both the matches against Bangladesh. Now, to take away nothing from Mehdi Shiraz, he's a very talented young all-rounder, as we know, and he's doing wonderful things for Bangladesh. But to allow him to do it in two matches in a row was a bit much. That means that obviously the Indian team is a little slow on the uptake, because he's not Ben Stokes, he's Mehdi Hassan Shiraz, so he still has a long way to go. So I think these are areas that the Indian team really needs to think very hard, and whatever is the remedy, it has to be sorted out very fast.
ऑन द अदर हैंड बांग्लादेश को देखो, वो लड़का आपको मैच जिताता है, फिर भी आप उसको उधर ही भेजते हो। दूसरे मैच में भी उसको उधर ही भेजा। अरे जो अच्छा बैटिंग कर रहा है उसको ऊपर तो भेजो, वो भी नहीं किया। दे डिडंट डू दैट। सो द बांग्लादेशीज आल्सो सीम टू बी वेरी कसड अबाउट सर्टेन थिंग्स, सेइंग ऐसे ही भेजना है, इसी ऑर्डर में भेजना है, तो ये रन बनाए नहीं बनाए। सो यू नो, is this
Yeah.
what both teams were they trying to just test it out, say the result doesn't matter, let's just go ahead and experiment? Were they using this
They
series like that?
I don't think there was much scope for experimentation for India, because they had to, there were some players who were missing, the regulars, the key players. So you have to play some other players, and it turned out extremely well for somebody like an Ishan Kishan.
Yeah.
Who smashed the century, smashed in the literal sense, and obviously he's now kind of he's thrown his hat in the ring for an opener slot. And this is what I mean. There's also so much talent available. And then one of the things, Anand, I think that the Indian team or the think tank needs to do is they need to take early calls on what is going to be their formation, the composition of the team going into tournaments, big tournaments heading towards the World Cup. We saw in the T20 World Cup, there was just too much procrastination and dithering over what our composition should be. ये इसको भी खिला रहे हैं, इससे भी experiment कर रहे हैं, इसको भी मौका दे रहे हैं, and then you leave it till too late. So I'm just looking at a little ahead. It may be 8, 9, 10 months away, the World Cup, but you can't have endless experimentation. Having said that, I think Bangladesh, actually they cut a sorry figure. I think Bangladesh, even at home, they've been a very good team playing at home, largely. They haven't been a very good test side for a long time. They've been a fairly decent ODI side, not a great one, ODI team or even a T20 team. But this is a team you should actually beat quite convincingly and quite easily. And we took, we lost the series, for God's sake. That's what kind of, actually it amazes me that we went and lost the series.
विराट कोहली ने 100 बनाया, लेकिन ईशान ने डबल 100 बनाया, तो एवरीबॉडी फॉरगॉट विराट कोहली, and at that was the time when Argentina entered the World Cup final, so everybody forgot Ishan Kishan. So a lot of things were happening around at the same time. I'll come to that also. A quick shout out that everybody forgot the Indian women won the FIH Nations Cup, defeating Spain 5-5. They won all the matches that they've done. So what they've done is also phenomenal. So there's a lot of sports happening. So a lot of things get underwhelmed. But if you look at that ODI and then to come into the test, Virat gets 100 after how long? And but then immediately on the back of it in the test match, it doesn't. His fellow doesn't do the trick or the magic that's expected. What do you do about KL Rahul? You have problem areas, in our batting area where those who are tried and tested achievers are not delivering. Rahul did a good job, perhaps. Is he a fair captain? Now, who captains the side? Rohit Sharma, where KL Rahul, Hardik Pandya, Shreyas Iyer, Rishabh Pant. सब हर किसी को कैप्टन का टोपी पहनाएगा तो फिर टोपी किसके सर पे रहेगा? अरे टोपी can't bounce around like this.
I think the captaincy issue got a little muddled because of Rohit's illness, and he's been missing matches or missing a tournament or missing a series. So, and it's gone back and forth to, between Rahul and Shikhar Dhawan. Somewhere you had Shikhar as a captain, somewhere you had Rahul.
Again, underrated captain.
Underrated captain. And then in the test match, you again had Rahul come back as the captain. So, some things can't be helped. I mean, Rohit's illness or injury can't be helped. But I think that in the test matches, again, I think the guy who might be regretting it a bit is Kohli. This was an opportunity to notch up a big score in a test match after a long time. He's got a T20 100 in the Asia Cup. He's got an ODI 100 against Bangladesh, and he looked in very good nick. I mean, he didn't have a blazing knock like Ishan Kishan, but he played extremely well. So this was an opportunity for him to make a big score, and then kind of regain his test, that avatar.
Yeah, I was frankly hoping a double 100 from Virat. That's what I thought that 100 would set him up for as far as the test match is concerned. कि भाई आराम से सुकून से बैटिंग करूंगा, इधर उधर रन निकालूंगा, 200 बनाऊंगा, अब बैटिंग करूंगा, जम के करूंगा. टेस्ट क्रिकेट में 100 मार के बहुत टाइम हो गया उसको.
बहुत time हो गया, and this was an opportunity. And as we, apart from the first few wickets which fell, I think India then made the runs. Thanks to the all-rounders, you had Rishabh Pant contributing, you had Ashwin playing a decent knock, showing that he's an all-rounder, and so on. So I thought that, and they ran us, it was a tight match for, say, about the first couple of days. But after that, I think India just kind of grabbed the match. I think that Bangladesh they don't have batting heft. For their kind of pitches, they've got the bowlers who can do the job, on slow turners sometimes, and they know the conditions well. But they don't have the batting heft. If they have a Litton Das, who was their man in form, for not making runs, and Shakib coming and playing that knock in the second innings was, when everything is virtually lost.
Yeah.
So Mushfiqur Rahim not doing much. I think it is not a strong team, and this is where the bowlers did well. You had Akshar taking wickets,
Correct.
except for Ashwin, who didn't get too many wickets.
Hmm.
But yeah, you're right about Virat. I mean, double century or not, but a good, solid, substantial knock. I would have settled even for a fantastic 80 or 90.
Hmm.
Something which tells you about Virat that, hey, boss, I'm back. So
Hmm.
I would have wanted to see that.
Correct. I agree, and I'm setting the bar high for Virat because he is at that level, and I'm sure he would have also set that up for himself. But the other thing is, there is a lot of Chintan Manthan बैठक which is all happening on the sidelines. उधर खबर क्या है? इस इलेक्शन कमेटी में कौन बैठने वाला है? आगे जाके क्या प्लानिंग है? One format, one captain ऐसा वाला सिस्टम है कि नहीं? What is going to be priority?
There's lots of stories and theories floating around in the air, in the
Hmm.
atmosphere, as they say. The selection committee should be announced in a day or two, I think. 20-21 का बोल रहे थे, आज तक तो announce हुआ नहीं है. But over the next 3-4 days, I would imagine, because the job of the previous selection committee is over. Now you have to
Correct.
prepare for the series against Australia, and therefore you need
Hmm.
the new selection committee in place. मुझे लगता है कि, and then obviously we've got the cricket advisory committee, in a sense, a selection committee to choose the selectors we've got there. But I think that and Anand, this I've said this earlier. I think it sounds a little esoteric, but more than just changing of players and thinking about who to change, that's the job of the selectors, depending on form. The Ranji season has started. We got some fantastic, you know,
Hmm.
guys making runs. We spoke about Surya Kumar Yadav, should he be
Yes.
playing red ball cricket or not, and he smashed the 90 at better than run a ball, almost as if
Correct.
borrowing a cue from England, the way they've been playing or they played in Pakistan. So I think
Pakistan.
there'll be a lot of talented youngsters. Yashasvi Jaiswal, Sarfaraz Khan, also from Mumbai, is taking a claim. Ajinkya Rane has made 100, and so many
Yeah.
others. So I think the selection apart, I think the onus is coming now on the think tank, which is the chief coach and the captain Rohit Sharma, Rahul Dravid, that how do we take it ahead from here? It's not about talent. I think talent तो भरपूर है आपके पास, लेकिन आपको क्या चाहिए ऐसा? What do we need to do to make it into a winning outfit, whatever the format you're playing, which England
Hmm.
seem to have done extremely well.
Yeah.
From the World Cup in 2019 to the World Cup T20 World Cup in Australia, and then now a 3-0 whitewash of Pakistan in Pakistan. A lot of
Pakistan.
people might think, oh, Pakistan to weak team hai, but it's never happened to Pakistan earlier. Playing at home that they got beaten
कि 3
0-3 in
टेस्ट
a
हार गए.
series. ये 3 टेस्ट हार गए और तीनों पहली 2 टेस्ट तो काफी क्लोज थी एक्चुअली.
Hmm.
And they came back. And this has been the hallmark of this England team. I'm sorry, I'm just dwelling a little on
Yeah. No.
England.
No. Yeah.
कि it's
Correct.
been their hallmark. कि तकलीफ में होते हैं, they come up with a counter-attacking, kind of
Hmm.
the kind of manifest itself, the winning ambition, whether it is counter-attacking, whether it is going defensive, whether it is scoring 500 runs in a day, they seem to be doing all the kinds of things which other teams
Hmm.
don't seem to be having the resources, or even if they have the resources, they don't have the mentality, the mindset to do it.
So then, are we looking at an equation that gone are the days when you have a set playing 11, a set playing 12, 15, set number of people in each format? You will have perhaps a basket of 20, 25 players who will be there on the roster or on the call, and they will start getting rotated based on the format, form, and of course requirement.
The playing conditions, who are you
And the
facing,
playing
where you are
conditions.
playing.
You think India is also grooming itself in that way because England seems to be doing that. England does not have a set playing 11 for this format and for that format. Yes, there may be few players who would have been identified for various formats. Some will be going in all parts. They're like jack of all trades. But overall, you see that it's never the same team. 5-6 are constant, but then another 5-6 are different. So it's always like that. Do you think India is also moving in that direction?
I think India should. I think what England have done is, it seemed very radical, but clearly what you're saying is right. They're doing it across formats. So
Hmm.
whether it's the T20 format where they got Gine Chune 4-5 players there उनके regular,
Correct.
But for the others, it's an assortment of players. They pick and play depending on आप पर्थ में खेल रहे हैं या ब्रिस्बेन में खेल रहे हैं, वो चेंज कर देते हैं टीम को,
Correct.
you know. Or if they are playing in Mumbai or playing in Eden Gardens, they might change their team. And therefore, they are doing it in all formats. I mean, test matches, they beat in Pakistan 3-0. But what happens if, Johnny Bairstow comes back? Now,
Correct.
does it mean they'll drop Harry Brook, who's been the success story? It
Correct.
could happen. And
Yeah.
Ben Stokes and Brendan McCullum seem to be, expect the unexpected kind of a credo.
Correct.
You never know what they're going to do next. And therefore, I mean, he declared it, with a lead of 300 something in the first test and won it. And most of us thought, I mean, conventional thinking, he's put his head in the mouth of the tiger, and this is when they lose against Pakistan. It didn't happen. They won, and then they went on to win the other two test matches also.
Correct. And sometimes bold decisions pay off. Sometimes they look very stupid because it's like a high risk, high return game. But you tend to go with what you feel about the game, and a lot of instinct also comes into play. Understanding and what your sense of the game is comes into play. But I'm. This is also the IPL buying week, the bidding week. There's a lot that is going to go on there also. But before we come into IPL, you think Rahul Dravid is going to be now steady as a coach? But we may have two or three different captains who will be experimented across format. You think VVS Lakshman will perhaps shoulder some of the burden with Rahul Dravid? Are we looking at multiple coaches, multiple formats, multiple captains, multiple formats? What is your sense that you're getting going forward?
So my sense is we possibly two captains. And especially because Rohit's fitness, is intermittently he's been missing a tournament or a match or something, and he would also want to kind of keep himself, his body going at least for the World Cup next year. T20 is something that looks to me to be the obvious thing that he might want to give up, or the selector or the administrators might decide, okay, let us relieve him of that burden. And so test matches and the ODI World Cup, I think you got Hardik, who's already captained the team in T20s. He's led his franchise to victory in the IPL. So he's, in a sense, a ready-made captain available. Somebody with strong credentials as a player as well as a leader. So I think that is likely to happen. Whether I don't think Rahul Dravid will be changed. Anand, it's been a year, and
Correct.
Since he's taken over. So we reached the Asia Cup. We didn't fare well. We reached the semis of the T20 World Cup. It's not a bad. I mean, we want India to win, and India should win given the talent it's got, and therefore the disappointment. And we didn't win the Test match in England, and therefore we allowed England to square the series. These are all setbacks. But I don't think it warrants a change in chief coach, because yes, England have done this successfully. They've got different coaches for the different formats, or at least two limited overs and red ball cricket. But I would think that at least if we have got a chance to make it to the World Test Championship, Rahul Dravid, we should, he is the best man, I think, still for the test format. And then you got on the heels of the World Test Championship, the ODI World Cup happening in India. So I would, and a good fair run would be a 2-year run at least for any chief coach. Anything less than that would be
No,
too
see, Dravid seems to have the process, because if he can do it with youngsters and he can do it with those who are coming to at that level, at the highest level, there's no reason why his strategy. Sometimes what happens is that the team itself goes through a churn. एक दौर चलता है ना, where no matter what you try, it doesn't work. And then you get successes, it splashes, and days when you're expecting yourself to succeed, things just come undone. It just happens. That's also the beauty of the game, that not everything is under your control. There is always one factor which is X, which is not under your control, or वो किस तरफ गिरता है, you don't know.
Yeah, but purely, so for
no,
instance, injuries. Anand,
correct.
injuries to Bumrah and Ravindra Jadeja, these are big blows in every
Yeah.
format. I mean, let's not discount that to give both. I mean, even for the captain, it's a big blow if you don't have your best fast bowler and your best all rounder at that point in time. Of course, Hardik is a terrific all rounder and perhaps better in the white ball cricket. But Jadeja in red ball cricket or white ball cricket is an asset. So these guys were missing. But I think the lessons, what I want to say is that yes, these setbacks have happened. But what next? What do you do next? When you're steering the team or you're steering Indian cricket for the next 12 months and you've got all these challenges coming up, if you wear the same old hat and do it in the same old way, then I'm afraid that you might run into more setbacks. So therefore, it's become incumbent on Dravid and Rohit and whoever else will be the captain, even if Hardik is the captain, that कुछ नया करना पड़ेगा, कुछ
Correct.
नई सोच लानी पड़ेगी.
करेक्ट जयदेव उनाडकट को भी वापस लेके आया इन द सेंस जस्ट टू से दैट दे हैव अ ह्यूज bucket of pace battery or bowlers who can bowl fast consistently at 135 140 clicks and their left arm right arm combination see at least that part of the cupboard is full and that is something which is very heartening to see that yes Bumrah is not there and he's missed to a certain extent but you still have consistently got three or four pacers who are there to step up and bowl at that pace for you.
पेसर्स भी है, स्पिनर्स भी है. आप देखिए विकेट कीपर बैट्समैन कितने हैं. There's Pant, there's Samson, there's Ishan Kishan. There's no
Hmm.
coming of wicket keeper batsmen. The middle
Hmm.
order is packed. You got Surya Kumar Yadav who's really pushing for a place in all formats. Uh, there's Shreyas
Hmm.
Iyer and so on. I mean, I would dearly want even Hardik Pandya to be in the Test team. If his body holds up, he would be an asset even in red ball cricket. So I mean, India is flush with talent. अब आप किस तरह किसको यूज कर रहे हो? जैसे आपने शुरू की बात आज बात की शुरुआत हुई थी कि you pick the players for the different formats, different squads, and then you have a lot of play within the squad itself कि आप किस किस को कैसे
Yeah.
खिलाओगे. The workload management is a big buzz phrase nowadays. But
Hmm.
I mean, it's not rocket science. Ultimately, you got players who will tell you how their body is responding. You got, you know, health experts, fitness experts. They're all there. These are calls that have to be taken. Whether you make the prudent call or not is the issue, and you make it at a time, and you make a timely call. अगर आप
Hmm.
बाद में लेंगे call जब player जो है is on the verge of a breakdown, it's too, just it's very detrimental.
देखिए आईपीएल पे तो पूरी बात एक पूरा फ्री हिट बनता है बिकॉज बट इन द रन अप बिल्डअप मैं सोच रहा हूँ कि इस बार क्या आपको क्या लग रहा है व्हाट इज गोइंग टू हैपन एज फार एज द आईपीएल buys are concerned the bids are concerned and are you excited about the women's IPL what's going to happen there what's the buzz.
So two things. One is about the men's thing. Yeah, I'm excited. I mean, this auction is not the mega auction that happened earlier in the year. But
Hmm.
guys like Ben Stokes, Harry Brooks, Joe Root. I want to see
Yeah.
what क्या बोली लगती है उनके ऊपर. Joe Root for the first time. He's one of the guys who actually used to debunk the IPL. Now he's
Hmm.
thrown his hat in the ring. And then there are guys like a Mayank Agarwal who's was captain till not long back, and now he's there as a
Correct.
player. And then Bangalore, for instance, has very little money, the least money available. क्या करेंगे उस पैसे का? What can they do with that limited amount of money? And then you got some other teams which have got, loads of money. I think it's all a question of resource allocation and how they do it. It's quite fascinating to watch. Where women's IPL is concerned, it's a different way of, okay, what is the price at which the teams will be sold? And will it be the same IPL owners who will make a,
Valuation.
bid for the
Yeah.
women's teams also to complete their bouquet, so to speak?
Correct.
So these are
Correct.
very interesting times. I think certainly the teams will be sold. At what
Yeah.
price and who are the buyers is of interest where women's IPL is concerned.
Yes, and imagine the women players were getting an audience of their own. They are now commanding the kind of attention, not just about
आनंद
equal
ऑडियंस
pay.
ऑडियंस तो मैं आपको बताऊं मैं बॉम्बे में
Yes,
गया मैं
ah,
बॉम्बे में मैच देखने गया इट वाज अ पैक्ड हाउस
packed
at
house.
the
Yes,
Paramount Stadium and competitive matches. Yes,
yeah.
Australia won, but there is clearly an audience. If a live audience आपका है 15-20 हजार आ जाते हैं तो टेलीविजन ऑडियंस तो आपको डेफिनेटली मिलेगी.
नहीं टेलीविजन डिजिटल ऑडियंस काफी है सी आई एम आल्सो वेरी हार्टन्ड वेरी इट्स वेरी हार्टनिंग टू सी दैट not just a matter of equal pay that the BCCI has decided which is long overdue but in terms of the kind of intensity the women are able to bring to the game the quality of cricket that is on display and of course the fervor the fan following that is now coming along because of some very spirited performances see somewhere
Yes,
it is all coming together for women's cricket in India and perhaps this IPL for women is just rightly timed. It's just the right time. कहते हैं ना अब जाके सही फूटी वो सही टाइम पे फूट रही है. That's what is happening. And imagine not just the spread of cricket, what it will do to open avenues in households
yes,
and change lives forever. So because if there are 8 teams and each team needs a bouquet of at least 30 players, so you're looking at 240 to 250 players, female women players across the country at least. No, forget the international ones, but otherwise, I'm just saying that you'll have to create that bouquet.
that's true, and that's बहुत बड़ी बात है. And there are two
Yeah,
dimensions to it. एक तो ये है कि you need that many players. That means so many more households will earn a
yeah.
livelihood through like girls, women
Hmm.
playing. As has happened in, I mean, cricket or the IPL, men's IPL has
Yeah.
opened up a whole new world for people, especially from smaller cities and the hinterland who come here and they become IPL stars. The other thing is, I think, and this I feel very strongly about, is that participation of women or the girl child across disciplines, across sports,
Correct.
is so critical if India needs to become a sporting nation. You can't
Correct.
keep 50% of your population within, closed doors, saying आप नहीं जा सकते, आप नहीं खेल सकते, this is not your scene, social constraints, and then hope to become a sporting nation. वो नहीं होगा. So IPL के द्वारा अगर दरवाजे खुलते हैं, there's a demonstration effect, like we've seen happen in badminton through Saina and
Yeah.
Sindhu, and tennis through Sania, and so on. If it happens
सर
on a, if
खो
it
लीग और
expands,
कबड्डी, खो लीग और
boxing में आप
कबड्डी
देख
लीग,
लो, खो में
बॉक्सिंग,
wrestling,
खो लीग, कबड्डी लीग, the amount that the women who are
and the
coming
women are
through
doing
are
so well.
phenomenal. Yeah, and even our multinational platforms, it's the women who have won us more medals. Tokyo
Correct.
2020 also women won us more medals.
Yes.
Abhi bhi Indian hockey women's hockey team, look at that, they've defeated the top nations in the world and they've won the FIH Nations Cup. So it's just phenomenal. It's a good thing. So on that happy note, nice note, let's just call it a pause in this edition of the free hit. अगले में थोड़ा IPL पे लंबा खेलेंगे.
Done. Anand, good to have
Okay,
you back.
thank you.
And
Always
next time,
good to speak with you,
next
Ayaz bhai.
free hit.
Thank you.
Take care.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.